We're really grateful to be here. I'm Becca Doten. I'm with Los Angeles World Airports, and Stephanie Sampson is my colleague with you here today. You know, we had the opportunity a couple years ago, Stephanie and I did, to be in person with you all, and we can't wait to be able to do that again. Whether or not the chef called out for coronavirus or for too many coronas, we all know that right now is not the right time to be together in a small room. And I think we all have personal experience with people around us, or maybe ourselves, who have recently received the positive diagnosis of COVID. So I appreciate the organizers, Karen and others, for being nimble and moving this back to Zoom so that we can all get the information without getting the infection. So thank you so much for that transition and being willing to move to a virtual setting so we can share the important information we have. You know, it's awesome that once a year, it seems like we get invited to share some updates with you about what's going on at LAX, and you know, one of the greatest international airports in the world, and one of the busiest. And every year, if you go year to year, you're going to see some incredible transitions and transformations. And so, well, maybe last year we would have talked about some of the groundbreakings that we had just done and some of the openings that were coming up. Now we can talk about some of the things that we've opened and what's in store for us the next year or two for this incredible transformation that we're in the midst of. Stephanie is going to really talk about the construction and the modernization program. I'm going to give you a little bit of a background of kind of where we are at passenger numbers, and then talk about some of the efforts we're making to create a more digital, touchless experience for all the guests. So to start off, I just want to start kind of with where are we and what's the lay of the land at LAX right now. So everyone here knows, it's no surprise, the pandemic created the biggest crisis that global aviation has ever faced in the history of aviation, where passenger traffic dropped to 5% of 2019 traffic in early 2020. Clearly, we're not in early 2020 any longer, and we have slowly and steadily made our way back towards our 2019 numbers, but we are not there yet. And I think we all know that. Well, our holiday season was fairly robust, and especially given that Omicron had started to rear its head towards the end of the holiday season in December, we still came through with a pretty strong holiday season, but we're already seeing the impacts of a reduced travel number of travelers coming into the new year. So where are we? We have seen incremental rise in passenger traffic over the course of the last 2 years. That's the little graph on the bottom of the slide that you can see. Holiday travel periods like 4th of July, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, and now December holidays did bring us record travelers since the pandemic began, and our numbers plummeted in early 2020. The busiest day of the year was December 17th, with 95,710 passengers screened at our TSA checkpoints. There was a little bet going on between a couple of our lead TSA people here at LAX about whether or not we were going to break 100,000. We did not, and someone has gained a really nice cup of coffee because they won that bet. But it unfortunately, due to Omicron and the number of flight cancellations that happened across the country, we weren't able to hit that 100,000 mark. But we do anticipate getting to it in the spring. LAX has led the nation in passengers screened at TSA for the last several months. So while we aren't at the numbers we were previously, we are continuing to lead the country in TSA passengers screened. And this is consistent with where we were before the pandemic, where LAX was the leading origination and destination airport in the world. Well, we were number 3 worldwide for the number of passengers because we have a relatively smaller number of transfers, and most people begin and end their journeys at LAX. We were the number 1 airport for that, and we continue to be the number 1 domestic airport for the passengers screened. For 2021, we're projecting a total passenger volume of 47.5 million, so nearly 20 million more than we had in 2020, but only about 50% of where we were in 2019. So we have made substantial progress in our recovery. We're very excited to have more than doubled the number that we had last year, but clearly we still have a way to go in the recovery, and we're grateful for all of our partners and all the work that you're doing to help bring people to our airports and to our cities and help promote tourism and travel, because we know how important it is to the lifeblood of our city. So thank you for that. Moving into specifically the holiday travel recap. So far in January, we're seeing about 64% compared to the same time in 2019. But you know, lower numbers than we did during the holiday rush. We'll see how that holds up. Again, the current surge in COVID numbers is not going to be helpful for our continued numbers increasing, but also we have seen, if history in other countries shows us anything, that if we get through this, we'll start moving back up again as well. Airlines have scheduled up to 61% more flights compared to the same time last year. So that we believe that they continue to increase flight numbers into the spring, and that's really good news for us as we continue to work on this recovery with all of you. And finally, international travel has continued to increase week after week since international travel restrictions were lifted in early November. LA Tourism is predicting we'll see about 1 million more international travelers visiting the LA area through the summer. So good news for us because we are so heavily dependent on international travel at LAX. The increase in international passengers is really going to help us reclaim our space as one of we used to be the second busiest airport in the country for travelers. And because we have such a high number of international compared to some of the domestic destinations, we weren't at number 2 any longer, but the increase in international travel does mean we're continuing to see more people coming for longer times and traveling back to the United States, and some who have not traveled either out of the country or into our country for 2 years. So there's a big desire for people to come back and travel through LAX and either go somewhere or come here to see loved ones or just travel, because I know we all have the travel bug right now. So that's where we are with our current passenger numbers. We just want to give you a sense of kind of what we're seeing on the ground at LAX and how we've really kind of rebuilt over the course of the last almost 2 years. But those are numbers. What Stephanie is about to show you are these amazing projects in our transformation and really what people can expect to see when they get to LAX. So with that, I will turn it over to Stephanie to talk about our awesome development program.
Thanks, Becca. So Becca mentioned, when we came to you in the beginning of, 2 years ago, even last year, we were just talking about groundbreakings. And 2021 for us was a banner year for facility openings here at the airport, as well as a major year for the infrastructure moving forward with heavy construction. These are just a few of projects that were delivered in 2021. Earlier in May of last year, we saw our $1.7 billion state-of-the-art West Gates at Tom Bradley International Terminal open, which is a new concourse connected to Tom Bradley via an underground tunnel. If you have not been in this facility, try to fly out of it because it's quite amazing, from the architecture to the 4-story tall chandelier that lights up. It's really, really amazing. And one thing that COVID impacted was bringing in our concessions and retail into this facility, but we are starting to roll out new concessions out there, and hopefully later this year we will have full concessions in there and the amenities that our guests need and experience at LAX. So that was our first facility that opened. And then right on the heels of that was the Terminal 1 extension, which added baggage claim, ticketing areas, and passenger screening to what was already Terminal 1. And the really unique feature about this facility is that it also is the first vertical core completed. And what the vertical core is it allows for the future connection to the automated people mover train system. So what you see in that bottom right-hand corner is this glass curtain wall. And essentially where you see the theme building in the reflection is where a pedestrian bridge will be installed beginning in February that will connect over the Worldway and connect to one of our people mover stations. So that was the first core completed. And in addition to this facility opening, we also opened a connector between terminals 1 and 2, which allow for passengers in either terminal to either go through TSA screening or enjoy the amenities at both Terminal 1 and 2, depending where they're flying out of. Now you have that access. Big news opening was our economy parking facility, which was the first component of our landside access modernization program to complete construction and open. This beautiful facility right off of Westchester Parkway and Jetway Boulevard offers approximately 4,300 new parking stalls to the airport. State-of-the-art smart parking technology. We will have 500 electric vehicle chargers opening this year as well. But what really went along with the economy parking facility was our new smart parking and online pre-booking system. So now our guests can pre-book their parking online, take the headache away of trying to find a spot when they're coming to the airport. They can guarantee that parking spot, and they can do it for a reserved rate. So that facility has the reserve parking, but also within our terminal area, we have also unveiled preferred parking, valet parking, and all of our parking structures are in the process of getting electric vehicle charging as well. So the entire parking system is now online and able for you to reserve ahead of time. And then our last facility that opened was our airport police facility, which is a beautiful, beautiful facility right off of Westchester Parkway that has consolidated operations that were spread across 8 different areas at the airport into this new state-of-the-art facility right off Westchester. So now our airport police have this great area where they can work collaboratively with other agencies like the FBI, LAPD, and ensure that we continue to put a focus on a safe and secure airport. So that's just a few of the projects that opened up in 2021, the major ones. And now we're going to tell you about the projects that continued through 2021 and into 2022. So obviously the automated people mover. Unfortunately, we couldn't meet in person today, but hopefully many of you have been near LAX in the last 2 years and have been able to see our transforming LAX skyline because of the people mover train system. So what you see on the top left is an image from our old control tower that shows you the east station for the people mover, and then how the guideway curves around our theme building. So construction for that people mover continues this year. On the right, you can see an aerial view again showing that people mover being constructed down the center of the airport. But we also have terminals 4, 5, and 6 going under modernization projects. Terminal 4 will kick off in earnest in the coming weeks. Terminal 6 is already underway, and then Terminal 5 will follow in the future. And that is all about adding better hold space, gate rooms, ramp parking, concessions, everything that you would need to improve that guest experience. Bottom right corner is terminals 2 and 3. So one way that we found efficiency during the pandemic was to close down Terminal 3. We tore it down early in the pandemic, and what you see there is the new satellite concourse coming to life for Terminal 3. And to the right, you can see the completed outside facade for Terminal 2. Beginning this weekend, we will be installing a pedestrian bridge that connects to that Terminal 3 steel structure over Worldway, and that will connect to one of our people mover stations as well. We're building 6 pedestrian bridges over the roadway in total. 2 of them were placed last year at Terminal 4.5 and at Terminal 2, and now this year we will be putting in Terminal 3 beginning this weekend, followed by Terminal 1, and then over to Tom Bradley and Terminal 5.5. So pedestrian bridge is going in as well. And then the consolidated rental-car facility on the bottom left is also going to continue construction.
Can I call you on my phone?
Oops. Sorry. Is also under construction and will continue through this year. And I'll have more on that in a little bit. Moving to the Terminal 2, 3 project. So coming up this spring, we will actually see the opening of the new head house for Terminals 2 and 3, which is essentially where you go to ticketing, passenger screening, as well as baggage claims. So we're really excited to see this first phase of the Terminal 2 and 3 modernization opening up. This facility will also have the largest Delta lounge in the US of any airport. And then throughout the year, there will be other major milestones as they continue to work to open the entire Terminal 2 and 3 footprint, which will complete in 2023. And as I mentioned, the efficiencies in construction, instead of completing in 2024, this project was accelerated by 18 months and will now complete next year. And the final piece of this Terminal 2 and 3 project is a connection from Terminal 3 to Tom Bradley. And what that will do is allow complete connection between all of our terminals behind security screening. So if someone has a long layover, they can walk all the way around from 1 to Terminal 8 without going out through TSA screening. So that fully connected airport is on the horizon and will be complete next year. So I mentioned the automated people mover is continuing. Just outside the height where we're going to meet, you probably could have seen this. And if you haven't, take a drive because it's pretty unique to drive underneath the train guideway. This segment over Century Boulevard was just completed in December. We worked for 4 months to connect the 2 sides over the roadway but allowed traffic to continue. We used a very unique construction technique called segmental construction, which essentially allowed the bridge to be connected by pouring increments of concrete until it connected in the middle. So now with that completion, we're at 87% of the entire 2¼ miles of the guideway being complete. And the people mover system as a whole is 67% complete. We now have every station under construction. There are 6 stations total for the system. And there are only really 2 segments remaining to be poured at Sepulveda and over parking structure 2B for the entire system. So this year we will see the entire people mover guideway completed, all the concrete work done, and then it's full 2¼ miles complete. So I mentioned Sepulveda Boulevard is a segment that's coming up. They just started working on getting the machinery in place to start pouring over the roadway. So you can see on the left here where the gap is on both sides of Sepulveda Boulevard. So we will start pouring concrete in the coming weeks to connect over the roadway here. And then on the right, as I mentioned, the Terminal 3 pedestrian bridge will be installed in this area here. So that is coming up this weekend. So busy weekend at the airport, a lot of construction going on. And one way we're really making sure to communicate about the impacts is on our social media channels. So anytime we have a major impact like this head bridge, this pedestrian bridge going in, or the work on Sepulveda Century, we are tweeting updates. So you can stay informed there as well. So I mentioned the consolidated rental car facility continues. It's at 77% complete. What you see is the entire 6.3 million square feet of project, which will become the largest rental car facility in the world once it opens. With this facility, you will see the removal of the rental car shuttle traffic from the city streets and the airport. And that means a removal of 3,200 daily shuttle trips, which is more than 1 million per year. So that will be a significant factor in reducing our traffic congestion and freeing up our curbside boarding area in the central terminal area. In the coming weeks, the final structural concrete will be poured for this facility, and then they will work to get the building ready to hand over to the rental car tenants this year so they can start building out their space. And then next year, this facility will open. And you can see to the left here, there's the yellow, that's the edge of the train guideway as it heads into the people mover station on top. The roof of this building includes the customer service building plaza. So if you need to rent a car, you can go in here and find Hertz or Enterprise, whoever you need to rent from, and rent a car. Or if you're a frequent user, you would just take the escalator down to Hertz or Enterprise and get your car and go. And now that's it for the construction. So I will throw it back to Becca, who will go over the great ways we are making a digital marketplace for our guests.
Great, thank you so much, Stephanie. And yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things we're doing inside of our terminals. Stephanie's been talking about our modernization and our construction program. So what are some of the other things that we're doing to create an exceptional guest experience for all those who travel through our airports? So LAX has continued to put a focus on creating a digital marketplace, a touchless journey from home to curb to gate, and ensuring that passengers are able to experience control through the smartphone or personal device of their journey. For instance, laxordernow.com offers contactless ordering from a mobile device. And this past year, we unveiled At Your Gate, a delivery service that brings food and beverages to passengers while they wait for their flights in their terminals. It doesn't, you can't deliver to all terminals, but most of the terminals do have this service. And the contactless ordering is available in all of our terminals. In 2021, LAX Order Now totaled 54,728 orders with 6,383 orders for delivery. So you can see that we're really seeing a lot of people who are interested in that, not waiting in line, but rather putting in their order. They can put their order in while they arrive at TSA. Food will be waiting for them when they get there, or sit at their gate, put in the order, go pick it up. People are used to that now and how we order our food and do pickup. And we're able to do that at the airport as well, which is a great service. We also unveiled a delivery robot, Nom Nom, in 2021, which helps deliver orders guests directly to them along with their human helper that helps the robot along with the delivery. So every once in a while, you'll see that out and about in our terminals. It's very adorable and cute and gets a lot of social media attention when it's out. But the most important thing is people are actually getting their food delivered to the gate, whether it's by a human or by a robot. Stephanie mentioned our smart parking technology. which is being added to every of our LAX parking garages. Now, I know for some folks, it's not not a new thing to have smart parking technology. We see it in our garages when you go to the mall or other new parking structures. But for LAX, it's a big deal. Now you're going to be able to have a sense of what parking spots are open. You can pre-book your parking, and you can ensure you're getting the level of parking service that you desire, whether it's valet, economy parking, or somewhere in between. Since we opened our online booking system in mid-October, more than 37,000 online bookings have happened with $4.8 million in total revenue. And LAX economy parking is now 55% of all our online bookings, making it a really popular option for our guests. If people pre-book their parking, they'll get a discount on their parking. Plus, they'll have a spot assured for them, so they don't need to worry if the garages are getting full. It's very important during the holidays. When this past holiday, in fact, our economy parking structure filled up, and the only people being let into it were those who had made prearranged parking through our parking.flylax.com. So if any of you folks need parking, or know people who do, or your clients do, parking.flylax.com is a great place to go to get a discount on your parking, prearrange your parking, and get all the information that you need for that. We're also an innovation airport for TSA. And in October, we partnered with TSA for a pilot program in our Terminal 7, the LAX Fast Lane, which allows passengers to reserve TSA screening times online ahead of their flights with United Airlines. So you get a preset place in line. It isn't better than TSA pre-check, because it's like a regular going through the regular line, so you still have to take your shoes off and those kind of things. But if you don't have pre-check and you want to skip the line, the LAX Fastlane pilot's the way to go. More than 16,000 people have used the pilot through the end of the year, so it's very popular, and it's going to be extended through the Super Bowl. So we're really pleased to see that those who are traveling through that terminal do have that option. And if you Google LAX Fastlane pilot, you'll find information on how to sign up for that. So let's talk a little bit about safe, clean, and healthy facilities, because I know that continues to be on the top of everyone's mind. What are we doing to ensure that passenger journey is as safe as possible, given the circumstances and the reality of the world we're living in right now? So we continue to put a focus on ensuring safe, clean, and healthy airport experiences for all of our employees and our guests. LAX received the Airports Council International Airport Health Accreditation, which is awarded to airports who put a focus on health and safety in our path to recovery. One of our main priorities continues to be deep cleaning our facilities and providing our guests with the confidence that our terminals, shuttles, and other locations are clean and healthy. Of course, we continue to have a TSA mandated mask mandate for all of our terminals, as well as our shuttle buses and any kind of ground transportation. So those who are at our airports will continue to be required to wear their face coverings on our buses or in our terminals. Helps reduce the spread of germs. We also have a lot of hand sanitizer stations throughout the airport and encourage people to continue to wash their hands frequently. And we have installed a lot of touchless amenities like touchless water bottle refill station and touchless fountains, so that people don't have to actually touch where other people are touching. Let's talk a little bit about COVID testing and distribution, because that's one of the high points of last year and how we've really pivoted to address the COVID-19 crisis in our country and in our world. So COVID-19 testing, just over a year ago, we stood up an on-site lab that provides COVID-19 tests, rapid PCR tests and antigen tests. PCR tests as quickly as 1 hour response time for results that are approved for travel to Hawaii and other countries that require specific tests. We have 1 hour, 3 hour, and then 24-hour turnaround PCR tests, as well as antigen tests that are sold in 3 different locations throughout our airport, our on-site testing lab across from Terminal 6, Terminal 2, and in Tom Bradley International Terminal. As of this morning, I saw the number. We've had more than 276,000 tests completed since launch of this program. And clearly, you can all imagine we have a surge in demand right now. We're doing more than 1,000 rapid PCR tests per day, with a record 1,938 tests administered on January 2nd. This means it's not just travelers who are using these options, but people who are looking for rapid results for tests from our community are coming and purchasing these tests as well. We have increased capacity. Our partner at Clarity Labs, who's running this program, has increased capacity to accommodate recent demand. For those who are traveling internationally, and returning to the United States, the California Department of Public Health is providing free at-home test kits to those who are arriving at Tom Bradley International Terminal. So for those international travelers, they do have an opportunity to sign up for a free test kit that they can take home. We've had more than 2,300 handed out since they started that in late December. They will be continuing that program into well into the new year, somewhere into the spring or possibly the summer, depending on how COVID-19 plays out. So we have testing and test distribution. We also have vaccinations and booster clinics. And I have some just newly found out news on this one as well. So LAX held 2 public vaccination booster clinics in December with more than 350 boosters and vaccines were provided over the course of 2 days, 2 different Wednesdays in December. Had 176 done one day and 184 on a different day. And that was both travelers and our employees. We have every single kind of vaccine and booster available, including pediatric vaccines for those who may be traveling with the children. I'm really excited to share that we just confirmed with the county that they're coming back to the last 2 Wednesdays in January. So the 19th and the 26th, they'll be back between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. in the same location at Tom Bradley International Terminal at the arrivals level. Again, all vaccines and all boosters will be available for free, no appointment necessary, walk up only. And so that's an opportunity for people to have easy access to vaccine and boosters. We know that boosters are the #1 way to help reduce the impacts of COVID-19 if you were to get it, helps reduce the chance of getting it and reduces the symptoms if you do get it, this Omicron variant. So we are encouraging everyone to make use of this opportunity if you're traveling through Tom Bradley International Terminal and you need boosters or vaccines. Now, finally, I'm going to just quickly talk about our guest experience because, health, safety, amenities, digital technology is all part of what we do. So is creating a fun experience and a surprising and delightful experience for our guests. And that's why we still have our pup program, our Pets Unstressing Passengers. We brought that back this past year so that people could experience the love of the little puppies as they travel on their journey. We are unveiling a number of new art installations. We just put a press release out yesterday or today, I can't remember, one of the two, about our art installations, fabulous art throughout the airport, more art coming online with our new facilities as well. We have presentations, our LAX Presents lineup. We'll start monthly performances within our terminals as well. Last year, we had four different performances to end the year once we were allowing people back into our terminals for performances. So there's always kind of some surprise and delight for our guests when they come through our terminals, and you never know if you're going to get to see one of our pups or a presentation from a musical group or a dance group or maybe even some new art. So with that, I will go to the very last slide, Stephanie, and then we'll open up for questions. So, I just want to thank you all again for hearing about what we're doing at LAX. I know people often have questions about what's going on and what is all that construction and what's it going to be when we grow up. What are we going to be? We're going to be a transformed airport that is fundamentally changing how people get to, from, and around the airport and how they interact with our airport once they get there and before they get there. We're creating a digital experience that allows people to have control of their journey from before they leave their home till they get on their plane. And we're trying to make it easier for people to access our airport, whether it be through public transportation with our connection to Metro, easier places to drop off and pick up your friends or your neighbors, your family. People joke sometimes that the 8 most dreaded words in the English language are, "Will you pick me up at LAX?" So we're trying to make that so that's no longer quite as dramatic as people seem to think it is right now. So that we make it a great experience. We're aiming for nothing less than a world-class airport that our city deserves, and we're going to get there. And we thank you for your interest in how we're shaping up. So with that, I thank everyone and open up to questions.
Do we do questions by asking or by typing?
I think typing.
We have one question here about the theme building and future plans for the theme building. That's a great question. Yes, the theme building, we will be doing something with that in the future. We're going to get through some of the construction that we have right now before we open that up for proposals, but we do want to make use of that exceptional location. There are some issues with seismic issues right now, and some other things that would need to be dealt with before we were to open something new there. But rest assured, it's on the list. We just have $14.5 billion of other stuff that we're working on right now. And once the APM is finished up, I imagine that may move forward, but I don't exactly have a timeline. Stephanie, do you have anything to add for that one?
Yeah, I did want to mention that our east station in the central terminal area will offer unique views of the theme building, because it will have an observation kind of deck where you can go out and take a selfie, take a look around it, as well as the fact that our beautiful train system will go right around it. And I can tell you from experience that, you know, I have the opportunity to go up on the guideway, and just even walking around it and going by the FAA control tower and the theme building, it's such a unique view. And, you know, when the train system is operational, not only going around the theme building, but going through the iconic LAX pylons, especially at night, will be something that I think everyone will be really excited to take part in and get that opportunity to ride the train and see.
Great, thanks, Stephanie. And you mentioned a great observation deck that's being built with the APM. And if we have any plane spotters in our midst, I will say we actually have the best plane spotting location now open on the roof level of LAX economy parking. I think it's like $5 for an hour or something like that to park there. And you're going to see a whole bunch of people with their cameras at the rooftop of LAX economy parking now, because it is an exceptional place to see the planes come in. And we had someone up there who was following the Qantas flight that landed yesterday, a beautiful A380 that landed yesterday, bringing back passengers from Qantas. So great place to go if you're looking for some plane spotting, or if you have any little ones who want to look at some big planes. Going down into the chat, any enhancements coming to LA Exit? Great question for those who have used LA Exit lately. You know, clearly the rideshare industry as a whole is having some challenges in terms of the number of cars available and everything, but you can get your Ubers, Lyfts, and Opolis at LA Exit. We have a shuttle bus that goes there for all of our terminals, or you can walk there. That is going to stay in place until the APM opens, at which time we'll close down LA Exit, and our transit centers, we're right next to LAX economy parking, and then one further to east will become pickup drop-off locations as well. More to come on what exactly the mode distribution will be, but LA Exit will only be open as long as until the APM opens. And then the current LA Exit location is now going to be what we will be using for the future Concourse Zero, for those who don't know, because we can never stop with our modernization and opportunities to continue improving the airport. Recently, the board and the council supported the plan to build a Concourse Zero and Terminal 9. So that will be coming further down the road before the 2028 Olympics. So that's what LA Exit will be in the future. So thank you for that question. Let's see here. Travelers.
I'll take the next one about Sepulveda. So Sepulveda Boulevard segment will be built the same way the Century Boulevard train guideway segment was built, using that segmental construction technique, and that allows through traffic to be maintained at all times. As Sepulveda and Century are our main thoroughfares, our only thoroughfares into the airport, we obviously can't shut them down. So we have some great engineers working to continue to keep the roadway open while building above. So right now we just started installing the mechanism to do those concrete pours, and we had last night 2 southbound lane closures on Sepulveda, as well as the ramp that leads from Sepulveda South to Century Boulevard. Those are the kinds of impacts you'll see. There may be times where lanes on both sides, southbound and northbound, are closed, but all of those closures are from midnight to 6 a.m. overnight. There are no daytime closures because it is such an important roadway. So we are able to build that with minimal impacts to the traveling public. And then for the EV chargers, the economy parking structure has 500 level 2 EV chargers that will be made available this year. And then there are 8 DC fast in that facility. I don't have the specifics for the parking structures, but maybe Becca does within the terminal area, but we can always get that info if needed.
Yeah, no, I don't have that information, but again, like Stephanie says, if we need to, if someone has a specific question, we can try and find it out. But the parking is getting markedly improved. And so both in the CTA and of course our economy parking is a game changer for us as well. We had a question about pedestrian walkways interconnecting all terminals past security, having moving walkways. I actually don't know the answer to that. Stephanie, do you?
So the pedestrian bridges that connect the people mover stations to the terminals, 60% of those pedestrian bridges have moving sidewalks. That's mainly in the longer spans of the bridges. The areas that do not have a moving sidewalk are primarily over World Way because there's not enough clearance to put the infrastructure in. The behind security connection, I think in portions behind security, there may be moving sidewalks, but I don't know that there's a plan to put them in all of the behind security connections.
Yeah, right now the places that is connected, there are not moving walkways for the most part between the terminals that are connected. And again, you can't go all the way from 1 to 8 yet, but in the locations there are, in most cases, there aren't moving walkways, but in certain locations, throughout our terminals, you will find moving walkways. Let's see here. What else do we have?
Light rail connection. So yes and no. It will not be a direct connection, such as say at O'Hare, where you can take the L right into the airport. However, Metro is building the Crenshaw LAX line and the airport Metro connector station right off Aviation Boulevard and Arbor Vitae. And their station will connect with an interface on the west side of the people mover station. So the airport Metro connector station runs north to south along Aviation, and the people mover station is above Aviation Boulevard. So you would essentially, if you came in on the Crenshaw LAX line, you would go up and over to the people mover and take that into the airport. So not a complete direct connection, but much better than it is today, where you have to get on the G shuttle bus at Imperial and Aviation and take that into the terminal area. So in a few years, we will have that connection with Metro.
Great, and I see a question here regarding Concourse Zero. So Concourse Zero and Terminal 9 are helping us meet the future demand that we know is coming to the region. We are not expanding our airport or expanding our footprint. It's all within the current area which LAX has and owns. However, we are trying to ensure that we have better guest experiences than sending people to remote gates. So if anyone's ever had a remote gate experience, you know it is not ideal. And so we're trying to ensure that people have as good an experience as possible by building building Concourse Zero and Terminal 9 so that we have make room for the growth that we know in terms of passengers that is coming to LAX. I'm going to put a link in the chat so you can learn more about our airfield and terminal modernization program. The Concourse Zero and Terminal 9 are just a small part of that. It includes a lot of airfield improvements as well as local roadway improvements to help bifurcate the traffic that is going to the airport from community and local traffic. So I'll put a link in the chat so you can learn more about everything that's going on with that project. Again, aiming to be done before the 2028 Olympics. Stephanie, we had a question in here regarding all the other terminals and the timelines. Yep. I don't have that. Do you have that?
I do. Yes. So coming up, first up is the Terminal 2 and 3 completion in 2023, as well as the rental car facility completion and the people mover train system. So those are all in 2023. In addition, Terminal 6, that project will complete in 2023. So 2021, banner year for openings. 2023 will be another banner year for openings at the airport. And then you have the project at Terminals 4 and 5, and that will complete in 2027. And then as Becca mentioned, the Terminal 9 Concourse Zero project, the airfield and terminal modernization project, that is scheduled to complete in time for the 2028 Olympics. So we've got a lot to do as we begin to welcome the world, and we'll get tested here pretty soon with the Super Bowl, the college football playoff next year, hopefully the World Cup, and then the Olympic Games. So we're getting our airport ready, and the next couple of years we'll really be focused on getting these facilities prepared for the world.
Well, I see a question here regarding whether or not this content is going to be available later and recorded. I am very pleased to share that it is being recorded. There's a little red dot on the upper left-hand corner that is saying recording. So I understand it will be available for sharing later. And I'm sure Stephanie is happy to send along the presentation as well. to everyone. Let's see here. I see the note about the art. Thank you, Karen. I'm going to send, I'm going to look for the link to the press release so you can see the new exhibits because they're really quite cool. Let's see here. There's always a line as the water station. Yeah, you know, water stations, I don't know specific to T4, excuse me, in water stations, but I do know that we're trying to do what we can to add more water bottle refill stations. It is something that people really like. So we're working and looking at opportunities for that. And then construction impacting arrivals and departures. Construction isn't impacting our flights at all, but if you're looking to see where the traffic patterns are because of construction, Stephanie, can you put the link into the chat where someone can go to see the real-time traffic and construction impacts?
Yes, give me a second.
Okay, well, I think we covered, I hope I didn't miss anyone's question. Things were coming kind of fast and furious for a little bit. So if I miss anyone's questions, please type it in or just raise your hand or something. But I think we caught most of the questions, Lee. So we appreciate the opportunity unless anyone else has anything else for us.